Sound. It can make or break a production, a performance, or a fan experience at a venue. From mixing a 100-piece orchestra in a studio and managing Ravens Stadium, this sound man was described in multiple recommendation letters as more than highly skilled sound engineer. He's a creative visionary with great patience and an ear for perfection.
This program is made by MPT, Rich the community about our fate.
This isn't working.
This seems like it's not sitting right.
Phantom power.
Guys, Take 4.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm supposed to say something else and I forgot what it was.
Can somebody talk to me, please?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello.
David!
Can I hear playback?
Seems like only yesterday that you were just out of college and applying for a job at MPT. After your interview, Tom Bond and I looked at each other and went, David's the one.
I remember when David first started working up in the sound studio. He'd come up like in the evening after the first part of his shift when he was working in the TV studio. He would come up to the sound studio and explore the gear up there. He actually taught himself how to use it all on his own. He also taught himself sound design, sound editing, mixing.
I remember I started here on a show that worked in the morning, and I was here for about 4 years, and I stayed here one day late, and I see this person walking down the hall that I've never seen before. And I said, hey, my name is Harry. And you said, I'm David. I said, are you new here? He said, no, I've been working here for 7 years.
From audio recording to mixing and editing, you've always got our back, and you're simply the best. So thank you for decades of making sure the sounds of Motor Week roar loud and clear.
I was on a Outdoors Maryland shoot with David years and years ago. David had on his official heavy vinyl MPT raincoat, which is great when it's cold, but it gets hot when it's hot. And he's running this boom all day long on this boat. And he just held this thing for hours. I just couldn't believe this guy could just keep holding this thing, and it got to be like 90 degrees, and he just kept this thing up all day long. I will never forget it.
In 2019, David and our IT coordinator convinced a skeptical me to invest in live streaming our Sunday services. When COVID hit in 2020, we had been online for 6 months, and we never missed a single Sunday service, making us one of the few churches that actually grew during COVID. I'm convinced that David and our IT coordinator almost single-handedly saved our parish.
Our game day experience at the Baltimore Ravens wouldn't be what it is without David Wainwright. When I think of David, I think of him bundled up with a big jacket and a winter hat. David is a key contributor to our top-ranked stadium experience and our top-ranked sound experience at M&T Bank Stadium.
A lot of times when we're in the studio and we're striking a set or whatever, he's always there to say, hey, you need any help in there? Can I help you with that?
David Wainwright is the most unflappable person that I have ever met in my life. Nothing bothers that guy. Nobody bothers that guy.
I mean, you've won so many Emmys, they should call it the David Wainwright Silver Circle. Man, working with you for 25 years was an absolute pleasure. I knew when I took over the MPT audio department in 1997 that I would have no problems with audio post because you were up there.
You know, just interacting with him on a day-to-day, he doesn't carry himself like he's full of himself or anything. He's just a really hard-working person who loves what he does.
David, 36 years in the business and we're still having audio problems? Congratulations on being accepted in the Silver Circle. Much deserved.
You are an incredible technician, but you're even a better person. I know Fee, Nigel, and Nolan are extremely proud of the father that you are and the husband that you are.
Turn you around.
Thank you. You know, sometimes when I've been at MPT for 37 years. I started in 1987. And sometimes I'm walking through the hallway and some random person will say, David, when are you going to retire? And I don't have an answer for them because I just still love what I'm doing. So I can just keep on going. But I'd like to thank my wife, my #1 supporter for over 30 years, Felisa, in this business, for being understanding with the crazy schedule sometimes. And thank you to the National Academy for this honor and induction. And thank you to Maryland Public Television. Thank you to MPT's CEO, Larry Unger, and to Executive Vice President and Station Manager, Stephen Shupak. Thank you, George Benjamin, Harry Vaughn, Travis Mitchell, Troy Mosby, and Fran Minkowski for your encouragement. And thank you, Fran, for putting all the materials together for me. It was 1980 when I followed my mother's advice to enroll at Morgan State University. I remember how excited I was when I declared telecommunications as my major and finally knew what I wanted to do for a living. When I saw the new studio and cameras, and I just couldn't wait to my first TV production class. And one thing the professors would stress at Morgan was to take any job that was related to communications, even if it wasn't your interest. So in my sophomore year, I took a part-time job at WCBM Radio. In September 1987, a few years after graduating from Morgan, I inquired for 3 positions at Maryland Public TV. And I called the operations manager, and he wanted to know if I had any experience, and I could answer yes because of that job at WCBM back in college. And it just so happened that he had experience had worked at WCBM back in the day. So we formed a connection. I toured the facility, applied for all 3 positions, and obviously got the audio operator job. So even though my career started in September 1987, I was bitten by the technology bug many years earlier in 4th grade class at St. Pius V School, which was run by the Oblate Sisters of Providence, the oldest order of nuns educating African-American children. So the nuns were having a raffle, and the prize was a portable reel-to-reel tape recorder that I really wanted. So every day I would ask my mother for a quarter so I could buy a raffle ticket so I could win. And the day of the drawing, I either won or eventually had paid for the thing, and that's when I had fell in love with recording. And my son has a little prop for me. Thank you, Nigel. So just to show you how we've evolved from 1987 to now, I have a reel of the tape that we used back when I started. 2-inch tape, 24 tracks on this tape. If you were using it to dub for a documentary or film, you would typically use 22 of the tracks because the 24 track you would lay down time code. And if anybody in this room has heard the sound of the time code signal, it would bleed through the next adjacent track. So you couldn't put that on there. I could pass that around if anybody wants to hold it. The productions and experiences have been amazing challenges. I've been all over the country as a location sound recorders in Cincinnati, Ohio, Kansas City, Kansas, and Seattle, Washington. But one of the most difficult shoots was right here in Maryland for an Outdoors Maryland shoot, trying to find rattlesnakes. And I thank God for wireless mics because I could mic up the experts and send them out to, at a distance I didn't have to get close to them. Like the MPT experience, which is an opportunity of a lifetime, so was working with the Baltimore Ravens as part of the sound for the game day sound crew. It started for me in 2004 when their main audio engineer got sick during a pregame show, and I was called in to fill in for him. The Ravens had a playoff game the next day, so they asked if I could fill in for him in case he didn't get out of the hospital. And if he did get discharged, I could just hang out and still get paid for it, so I said yes. So, as you saw in the video, I also used my God-given talents as audio-video minister for the live stream at St. Bernardine Catholic Church, and have installed sound and video systems there at the church. I have to thank some of the audio engineers in the industry, and past and present, who were instrumental in my career. The late James Simmons, Richard Severe, Ed Hopp, Roberta Lyles, Tom Bond, Jimmy Wells, and Samira Brinson. Also need to thank Gordon Masters, Mark Ramelis, Don Bartow, and Jill and Nicole on the audio team, and others who gave endorsements. Donald Toms, of course, and Jay O'Brien of the Ravens, and Monsignor Rich Bozzelli. And thank you again, Larry Unger, for your endorsement. I'd like to acknowledge my family here tonight. Again, my wife, Felisa, my son, who just brought up my demo item, my brother, my nephew, and my sister/cousin, Beverly. Thank you.